Hi there, welcome to Belt Friends. My name is Casey Hutchinson. I'm the president of Empire Rubber and Supply. And this is my podcast, Belt Friends, where I talk to industry leaders, folks in the conveyor belting world. And I have the unique opportunity this week to be at the NIBA convention, the National Industrial Belting Association, and doing some interviews on site. And I happened to wrestle him down today and get him to sit down with me. Today I'm with Mark Jadwin, training in business development at MIR, Ammega, and this year's 2025 president of the NIBA convention. Mark, welcome.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Usually I like to hand the mic off to you a little bit for my first one. Tell us about yourself, tell us about growing up, and a little bit of Mark's background.
Okay. If you'd like, I can. Depends on how far back you want to go. Obviously, by the chrome adornment that I feature, I've been around for a while. But, I grew up primarily in the Midwest. I went through some military school for my high school years, so I had a lot of discipline development and things that integrated into my personality at a very young age. And then, lo and behold, I was at college, not in college. Wasn't the perfect fit for me at the time. So in 1977, unbeknownst to me, I started in the conveyor belt business. Back in those days, we wore our hair past our shoulders. We drove around in pickup trucks. We worked in factories. And it just was a great fit for me.
And that was your first jump into employment?
That was my first jump into the belting industry. Prior to that, I did just some offbeat stuff, not really, a real structured environment that required focus and attention.
This was your first career attempt?
It really was.
Okay.
It really was, yeah. And I think one of the things you'll find that's unique about this industry is if you get into it and it's even a small fit, you just don't leave.
Yeah.
There's too many alternative paths you can take and opportunities out there to be involved. And that's really what happened to me. Because my first 9 years, I was in operations. I ran a slitter, cut belts, spliced belts, worked in a factory. And those first 10 years were, quite frankly, with belt service.
Okay.
When belt service was just in its infancy, my sign-on card was number 15. So, and now we know they're a huge global company, but I was the 15th person hired back when they first started. So that was a lot of fun. Some of my friends have branched off and have their own companies now in the belting business. And just as life changes happened back in about 1986 or so, in that time frame, I had transitions and had an opportunity to come to work for MIR. And I've been there for 38 years ever since.
Wow. When they hired you, what did you begin doing at MIR?
Well, the funny part is I went down again. The adornments were long hair and scraggly beards, and I went in for a production manager's job. And as I was talking to the owner, he's like, "But you're a salesman." And I'm like, "That's what I'd really like to do. We have a territory." So he said, "Let me fly my partner in tomorrow night. We'll meet with you. We'll interview for a sales position." So as my story goes, hair came off, beard came off, tie went on. I walked in the room and he's like, "What happened to the guy I interviewed yesterday?" I said, "Well, he's interviewing for a sales job today." And back in those days, we didn't have big HR departments and all that. And actually, they offered me a job. And it's kind of been a great opportunity ever since. To round out the hilarity of the size of the company, we're downtown St. Louis, and my first day when I walked in, it's a very fragmented little old building down there, and I'm kind of like, do I have a desk? And he's like, "Oh yeah," reaches over and opens a closet. And they had literally put a desk inside of a closet to make room for me.
Oh my God!
It was hilarious. The owner and I still have lunch every once in a while. We talk about it. We laugh about it. You know what? And that's just, there's so many companies that start off with little infancy stories like that, and then of course, what MIR's grown into today.
So you got, forgive me, I don't know MIR's history.
Sure.
When you got on board with them, far along were they as a company?
They were started in 1980.
Okay, so they were in their infancy as well.
They were. They had two owners, Don Skanke and Bill Kiefler. Those were the two people. Bill was in Kansas City, Don was in St. Louis, where I was. And it really goes back further than that to a company called Missouri Belting and St. Louis Belting.
Okay.
And if some of my facts are skewed a bit, you'll have to forgive me, but I believe the St. Louis Belting ownership turned into Belt Service. The Missouri Belting ownership turned into MIR.
Okay.
So that's how those two companies way back when. And originally, quite frankly, belt companies were leather. They were leather and cotton companies. I mean, they were the only materials we had to work with.
Yeah.
So it was power transmission and basically some, bakery belts for cotton.
Okay.
So that's how they started. And then as my career progressed, quite frankly, because I just said yes. Whenever they had an opportunity, something to do, something different, I'm just like, yeah, I'll do that. And eventually it turned into, I had 11, 12 years of vice president of sales. And I ran the company with another gentleman, and we reported to the president at the time. And he's since retired. And, then as MIR evolved, it went through some private equity ownership buyouts and evolutions and things like that. And today, here's where we are.
Wow. So, but you rewind with the building blocks that you'd created
Sure.
for yourself in the industry. It's been my experience that anyone starting in the shop, working with their hands, figuring out how a belt comes together, and then it's implemented. Terrific towards everything you launch into sales and trying to sell, because
Absolutely key.
Yeah.
Absolutely key. Because, and as you know, if some of my verbiage, I delve into some training jargon, you'll just have to go with me.
oh, I want to hear this.
Yeah,
too.
yeah, but quite frankly, the experience you have through going through operations and production, and we send all of our sales guys through that experience.
Yeah.
It's key. And what happens is your knowledge and experience becomes innate or inherent in what you do and how you present yourself. And if you're standing in front of a customer and you've gone through those experiences, they know.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell them that you've been through all this. Their instincts are pretty good about dealing with sales individuals, especially in our industry, and they'll pick it out
Very much
pretty
so.
quick. So yes, the operations part is absolutely key. The hands-on, well, and quite frankly, the good part about the operations for me was the immediate gratification. If you make a product and it looks good and you know it's good and you're shipping it out with your name on it, you kind of well up with a little bit of pride.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when you get into the sales industry, it's a little bit secondary. You may have done a fantastic job and not know for a couple of weeks
Oh, yeah.
because it has to digest with the customers. They have decisions. And, and then if they come back and decide this is a good partnership for us, then your business can grow.
Gosh, I hope those guys built it right when you sold it, right?
Yeah.
It's a little different step.
Well, that's a whole nother story, right?
So with MIR and being with them for so long, how long did it take before the transition? I know that they're underneath another umbrella now, but that hasn't changed what work you've done under them. There's some jog I'm asking here for your history and the company's history.
Yeah, well, I would say this. The core values that MIR was built on originally maintain their strength today.
Good.
Obviously, there's industry changes with technology. One of the biggest things is I read a book called The Challenger Sale, and one of the things it really delves into is some of the structural difference of decision making today. I mean, you can buy a belt online, but you can't buy a belt online with the support system that we provide as the sales individuals.
No, you cannot.
Yeah, and those core values that we've always had, the customer's got to be taken care of up front. We have to take care of our employees. It's the package of goods and services that really win the day. And I think that's still the case today.
Yeah.
A lot of people, and here I am delving into it, but, it's not really a price game. It's really not. It's a value proposition that wins the day. It's kind of interesting, and if you don't mind me rambling just for a second here.
I brought you here to ramble.
Yeah, so one of the things in my training I do is I talk about something I've coined called the fragrance on the rose. And that is the analogy of the two-dimensional value of a rose is that it's absolutely beautiful. And the colors of them are stunning, and we're immediately attracted to it, and it's incredible. But that's only a two-dimensional value of the world and the experience of what you're going through. What the key is remember the old saying, stop and smell the flowers?
Yeah.
It's the fragrance on the rose that elevates you into a third-dimensional perspective of being able to sell the entire package of goods and services. It's not a two-dimensional price and product world that we are going to win in. Okay, anybody can be that person.
Yes.
But what we teach and train and try to get the flame burning internally in our sales individuals is the ability to see the world from third dimension. It's the entire experience. No, it's not the price. The products, are evolving on their own. We understand what goes on in the world, but it's being able to incorporate that value package that makes us different.
Yes.
And by us, I don't just mean, I mean us as individuals.
Oh, absolutely.
Because that's where the key comes from.
No, I like that. I really like that because some of the best sales, and you might attest to it, are the ones you never made yet.
Mm-hmm.
If you, with all of your experience, if you go out there and make a suggestion of how they're operating and make one tweak that won't sell you a dime today, but they'll remember that that value add that you provide.
Sure.
To come back to you next time.
Sure. And I've been a student of a couple of different sales programs, and one of them is that we actually have here that sponsors through NIBA. It's Sandler Selling, and they do such a tremendous job at really teaching the psychological skills and personality traits of individuals, again, above and beyond just the price and product in the world. And so that was a real good fit for me, and I do implement quite a bit of that into the training.
Okay.
So.
Well, you're wading into training, and that's scratching on what your involvement with NIBA. And I wanted to lead to that because you've had a great deal of experience with NIBA throughout your career.
Sure. Yeah. I've been a member for over 18 years. Worked on 3 or 4 different committees. Several years ago, I got a phone call from John Grassmeyer, who I don't know if you know him.
I do.
Okay, what a tremendous individual.
Great man.
He at the time, I don't know if he was president or just the chair of the EC or involved in it, and he gave me a call and he said, Mark, so want to offer you an opportunity to be in the queue to be president of NIBA. And I'm just like overwhelmed, right? It's like, what? He goes, yeah, no, we recognize some of what you bring to the table we need. And that's, if you can't tell, I'm a little outspoken. I don't mind speaking my mind. I'll stand up, and if I don't agree with everybody in the room, I'm still going to speak my mind. I'm going to try and offer alternative perspectives on what's going on. Wait a minute, are we thinking about this right? Where could it go? Because a lot of times in our industry, and sales in particular, it's emotional. That's an emotional process. And you have to get some logic in there. Now, I would also tell you that you're not going to solve emotional issues with logic. And you're not going to solve logical issues with emotion.
Yeah.
Because they will battle each other.
All day.
So when we teach objection handling, one of the big things you have to learn is to recognize after you diffuse negativity in the conversation, are you addressing an emotional issue or a logical issue? And I think just all that infusion of stuff that I do is what got me an opportunity.
Those are important pauses and realizations because hard deliveries, because you're competing against an emotion, let's say, and trying to diffuse that and reach for that logic. That's a tremendous, if you have that ability within you to get somebody to pivot and adjust to that, that's everything.
Yeah, well, I'll give you a great example. How about it in your personal life when you come home and if you're married and you go, hey, honey, how was your day? And she's all emotional and, oh, I had all this. And you're like, well, here's the answer. Well, she's probably not looking for an answer.
No.
And you're going immediately to a logical response, and you're not going to solve the problem that way.
No.
So it works personally and professionally. I suggest everybody polish their skills.
in the business realm and at home.
Yeah.
So, what a tremendous gift you've been given, being able to step into this realm. I've only done 1 year in membership, but I've heard your voice and listened to your contributions, and I see what you're talking about. It makes me look forward to what others have to offer, because I've heard other voices in the room that are good ambassadors for what we do, and we can only grow from there. Climbing into where you currently are as the president,
Yep.
You're not done. I know that there's a lot of fall off after the next year that you may not be involved as much inside but I know you better than that with regards to training you and other things that are still NIBA involved. Can you speak to that?
Sure. One of the major initiatives on our strategic plan is training, because it's one of the strongest core benefits we can offer our membership. And there comes along a couple of different little nuances in that. There's lightweight belting and there's heavyweight belting. There's distributor fabricator training, and then there's manufacturer training. There's online training, and there's in-person training for multiple distributors and manufacturers who come to a single location for training. Now, let's look at one of the core values of what NIBA offers, and that is that we have all of our industry competitors are in the same room.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And yet, probably some of our very best good friends are our competitors.
Amen.
So it goes back to that personalization thing. But to continue on the training, so we now have all of those segments. And then there's another gentleman I'm working with who I was his VP. He's the past president right now, Mike Francis. I
Yes,
don't
sir.
know. What a tremendous individual. And that's a prime example. He and I have been competitors for, we just always are. And we're such good friends.
Yeah.
It's absolutely incredible. And so he and I are both going to be operating as retirees.
Okay.
Because in retiring, we have no conflict of interest. So we can go to manufacturers without a distribution or fabrication conflict of interest in the room.
Okay.
And we're doing dedicated training sessions for them. Now, what we're doing right now is a 101 base level. And our first training session's coming up in a couple of weeks. And quite frankly, there's not going to be salespeople in there. These are operational people.
Yeah.
And we're going to train about yarns, weaves, covers, compound, highest percentage of strength recovery at the point of the splice, conveyor designs and tracking, all the fundamental things that, well, quite frankly, between Mike and I, we have 96 years worth of experience.
Yeah, I wasn't going to call to it, but I know you've got 48. I know.
And Mike's the same.
Yes.
And Mike would tell you the uniqueness of the partnership he and I have is we're boots on the street guys. We're just guys that have crawled under conveyors for 48 years and troubleshot issues by being there and going in at midnight or 2 o'clock in the morning, helping customers track belts and understand how it works. There's a lot of polish in the schoolroom atmosphere, but I think our biggest contribution is the experience we have that we can bring to the table.
Yeah.
And for me, when I get out of a training session with people, I'm always laughing because they're like, "Your stories are so cool." It's just the experience.
Yeah.
And all the stories are true, but they're so relatable. I mean, training is not giving somebody a book and telling them to study. It's so much more than that. What you have to do is you got to get inside a little bit. If you don't understand the individual and you don't know what motivates them or creates that excitement, or if they even have it, you can't train it.
No. Absolutely not.
So we take, I say we, but it's probably just for myself, I take a completely different approach probably than most because, I take the time to understand the individuals first. And then we get into training because we can accelerate their experience when we know how to communicate correctly.
Yes.
So.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, well, that's just what it is.
No, I know, but there's not. I think there's so much to be taken from that philosophy and old school behavior, because they wouldn't have the things to go clicking on the net, answers driven that aren't complete, but without boots on the ground and experience and even the harsh learning lessons, the mistakes and things like that. I'm sure that you've garnered the most knowledge from some of those throughout your career as well.
Those are probably some of the best stories.
Yeah.
I mean, the successes
are shared.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Well, not really, because I'm pretty much an open book, and if it's something they can benefit from, I don't hesitate.
Good for you.
Yeah,
Good.
Because I mean that's what I'm there for, and quite frankly, I'll tell you, when I interview people, they're like, "So what's the best? What do you like the best about your job?" And for me, it's the contribution I can make to. I'm going to say a young individual. I don't mean age, but somebody young in their career looking to move on. But knowing that, I could contribute to the white picket fence. In some way, I could help be just a real person for them that they could understand. And it's a little emotional and overwhelming for me, but every once in a while, I'll just get a pop-up communication from somebody I trained 15 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And all they say is, "Thanks, MJ." I know what they're talking about. I know exactly what they're talking about. Because now they have, a bride and 2 babies and a nice mortgage and, they're just reaching back out. And that's the people you really want to connect with.
Yeah. You're speaking volumes there. I can speak to those rewards as a business owner, and watching people get to that white picket fence themselves. It means they could have done it anywhere, but they absorbed something you or I had and got there themselves.
Yeah,
with
so
us.
That's the best, I think.
Yeah. All right, Mark. A little bit more about training. You've gotten into manuals and things like that, as far as it's not just a lesson being learned in the classroom.
No. Quite frankly, I usually set it up to where we can get out in the factory at some point, because again, my background is operations.
Yes.
So for me to go out and understand how to get people to pay attention to the hot spots in a shop. I love our operations people, but they're not trainers. So when they go out, they're doing demos and stuff. It's easy for me to pick out the additional points of interest. Pay attention to you see how he's doing that. And you understand this is the why. In all of my training, I start off with 2 things. And again, if you can tolerate my rambling, I have a couple things I think you enjoy. Number 1, I always tell the story about standing in front of my boss years ago, and we were talking back and forth. And at some point, he's like, "MJ, I know what you said, but this is what I heard." That was very impactful for me, because I kept thinking about that. And then if you think about training, I know what I'm saying, but I don't know what they're hearing. So that I always start off with that. I'm like, tell that story, and I'm like, so I've done this 100 times. I know what I'm saying, but I don't know what you're hearing over there.
Yeah. So
you need to bring that back to me so that we're effective and productive in our time together. Otherwise, it just gets to be mundane. We're going to lose interest.
Yeah.
So, it's very impactful that your audience understands that they need to communicate back to you. "No, I don't understand what you said." Well, okay. Well, I already know what that is, but you don't. And I've said it. Why didn't you stop me? And I've done that many times.
Well, that rewinds your point earlier, because you're trying to effectively find a way for them to latch on to what you're teaching them.
Yeah.
And if you can't find that commonality of how they absorb it and can read into your delivery properly, you're not getting there.
You get nowhere.
Yeah.
The other thing I'll share real quick while it hit my mind is probably, other than, I know what I'm saying, but I don't know what you heard, probably one of the second most impactful things I teach them is I do make one guarantee. If your actions and behaviors are correct, you will succeed. It's a little bit profound if you think about it. So I'm driving down the street with a guy, one of our sales guys. I pointed at a building and I said, "Do we have their business?" He's like, "No, our prices are too high." And I say, "No." Drive down the street a little further, point to a building. I said, "Do we have their business?" He's like, "No, the guys decision maker's wife works for a competition. And I say, no, that's not why you don't have a business. Drive down the street a little bit further, and I'm saying, well, do we have theirs? And he lights up. Yeah, we have all of their business. I have a great relationship in there, blah, blah, blah. And I said, no, that's not why you're successful. You're successful because your actions and behaviors are correct. So if you are struggling somewhere and you can't get in, you can't get past the doorkeeper, you're struggling to execute an opportunity of business with somebody, remember what MJ said. WWMJD. What would MJ do? He would look at his actions and behaviors and make changes there. Your company has the product backing. You have the industry knowledge. You have training available. You have all the resources there, but if your actions and behaviors aren't correct, you're not going to win. So anyway, that's just another kind of... I'm full of limericks, by the way.
Oh, I love it.
These have all come out over the years. I've made up all kinds of little things that, but they work.
Yeah.
And they're impactful for people.
Yeah. And
they remember it. If you don't leave them with memory, you're not going to have any retainment. Yeah. But to answer your question, yes. I have written several manuals on operations, sales training, planning, customer service, and they're all dedicated through my commitment to MIR. I mean, they're all manuals I wrote for them.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Just recently, I've written one for NIBA. So it'll be published probably in the next 2 weeks. It's what we're going to use on our in-house training with Mike Francis and I.
Excellent.
So we bring in collateral as well. Probably one of the other really important things is I have the table full of samples. Over the years, you can't imagine some of the stuff. It's like, what in the world is... Well, there's a story behind that.
Yeah.
So again, it's the ability to create memory retainment for their experience that's key.
Yeah.
But yes, I have written several books.
Yeah.
And they're training books. They're not,
Well, it's a skeleton to go back to. I think what
For
you're
sure.
doing, speaking to them and giving them those memories, that's everything.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And then at the end of every one of those manuals, I have a review question list of about probably 8 pages long.
Okay.
It takes 40 minutes to an hour to complete the test at the end.
Oh, wow.
But that's their review. Because when we go through that's when the impact hits. It's like, oh, yeah, no. Otherwise, it's the fragrance on the rose. You only receive 2 dimensions of the experience here. You didn't retain the 3rd dimensional value of what that topic was.
Yeah.
So we go back to that and review that for a little bit too. And that's what those manuals are.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Loving this, Mark. Thank you. No. I don't have to look to George to know he's loving it too. So.
Are you sure you knew what you were getting into?
I didn't, and that's the best part. I like a good candy company. Well, it's why you and I go walking into some office where we don't know if there's an opportunity to sell to them or not, but here we go.
Right.
So,
right.
Once we start listening to them, everything starts firing.
Yeah. I got one more story I have several, but one that I know you'll appreciate. Because like you said, walking into an office, you don't know what's going to happen. If you don't mind me referencing the fact that my son used to work with us in sales.
Oh, cool.
And I had the extreme pleasure of being able to work with him in the field in value-added selling. And I think my favorite story is called Fishing with an Empty Hook.
Okay.
So we go up into a customer's office up in Eldridge, Iowa. I don't know if you know where Eldridge, Iowa is, but it's a very small Iowa town where they created the little air fresheners you hang in your car.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what this company did. And we went in there, and it was an intro call. And by the way, I've written an introduction for MIR that it's like a jar of ragu spaghetti sauce. Everything's in there. The clothes, it's all in there. Everything that you want to address in the way of introducing your company is in there. Because if you can't introduce your company, customer knows it.
Yeah.
The introduction is one of the most valuable evaluation tools a manager can do for his sales individual. Oh, really? You're struggling with this or that or the other? And they call me and they say, Mark, what about, I can't tell if this guy's going to make it. I said, have him introduce a company. If you can't introduce a company, there's your answer. Then you're not inside because he doesn't have the passion you do to know enough about your company to introduce it. Anyway, back to the story. It's kind of quick. We go into this guy's office and we sit down. And again, because of the chrome, they look at me and expect me to speak. And I do. So I do the introduction, which, like I said, takes a minute, 18 seconds. And he's looking at me, and I look at him, and my son is sitting next to me, and I'm like, do you mind if I ask you a question real quick? I have a story I'd like to tell you. And he's like, yeah, go ahead. I said, well, I notice you have fish and pictures of fishing and stuff. I have a story I got to tell you that's incredible. He says, all right. I said, I was down at Lake of the Ozark with my son one day, and quite frankly, I didn't want to catch a fish because I have to clean it. And I probably got to do something with it, right? So he and I are standing on the dock. Get this fishing pole out. I get a worm out. Yeah, we're using worms. And he throws it in. Now, I did not want to catch a fish. So I took mine and I threw the hook in the water empty. You know where this is going?
I do.
I caught a fish. So here I am with my son who is baiting his experience. And I'm using an empty hook. And I caught the fish. And that's what I'm doing with you, Mr. Customer. I'm fishing with an empty hook because I don't want to bait you. But I don't know what it's going to take to catch you. There was about a 15-second pregnant silence in the room. And he says, would you like to go out to my plant?
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, yes, we would.
Yeah.
We walked out of there with 5 opportunities to quote. And as we're walking out, my son, who is 6'4", looks down at me and he's like, really, Dad? An empty hook? And I'm like, well, yeah. So anyway, that's one of the anecdotal stories I like to tell because it's such a great experience.
Heck yeah, that's probably waded into more stories of that story.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
So did I answer your question? You had asked me about manuals, and I kind of get off the track.
No,
but
you answered everything.
Okay.
You beyond. Thank you. All right, Mark. We do this all day. What's fun when you're not doing this? What's Mark MJ going and doing when he's not?
I got to tell you, I have a wonderful bride, and we've been married for over 43 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, you could tack 5 more in there if you want the dating years too.
Okay.
She's been my guardian angel my whole life, and we just continue to grow together and have an absolutely wonderful experience. So I always have to lead with that.
Just the one son in your
No, I have 3 boys.
Oh, you have 3 boys.
We have 3.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and a granddaughter. So
wow.
Yeah, we have all kinds of adventures going on. But for me personally, I do all the guy things. I mean, I ride a Harley.
Yeah.
I hunt. 2 of my sons hunt, and we camp out together and spend time that you can't replace. My bride and I love to play golf.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, she's. We've played PGA courses, and she can play good enough to keep up with anybody. She knows when to pick up her ball if she has to. But she normally doesn't. She hits it well enough to enjoy playing, and we both do that. We have a place down at Lake of the Ozarks I built about 12 years ago.
Nice.
So we like boating and...
Getting away from things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, when you spend most of your life in corporate America, you've got to have escapism because otherwise you don't get the reboot and you burn out. So, I do all those things. We have such a tight family. We just enjoy doing a lot of stuff with our sons. And our granddaughter, by the way, is 21 years old. And she knows how to melt Grandpa down pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, she's learned over the years. Yeah. So when she walks in and it's like, hey, Grandpa, I'm like, yeah, what do you want? What are you going to want, right? And it's just a wonderful thing.
Well, you're stuck with all those boys. So, yeah.
Well, and the great thing about the boys is, as you may or may not know, the personalities are all different.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, so I get the best of all 3 worlds because I get to enjoy each one of them as individuals and what they do.
Yeah.
And my bride just tells me, it's your fault. I go, why are they? She goes, well, it's your fault. I'm like, okay, accepted. But yeah, that's what I do when I, get off the corporate train.
Yeah, go decompress.
Yeah, I do.
Good for you.
I do.
Well, I always ask odd questions along the way.
Yeah, sure.
And I think you've given me, I was going to hit upon nicknames because sometimes you get them in this industry, those that you want and those that you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any of those to tell at all?
I have one that's kind of funny. Well, MJ seems to be something, obviously because of my name, people call me all the time. But I have a podium that I speak from back in the St. Louis office. And one year for Christmas, I hope it's a term of endearment, but they got me a sign they put on that podium that's called The Wizard.
The Wizard.
The Wizard. If you were to go to MIR and ask about the Wizard,
yeah,
they know who you're talking about.
Okay.
Now, I think maybe I've just tricked them because it's not magic.
Okay.
I really think it's just experience and passion, and it's just a uniqueness in the approach I take with people. Because I really look at the people, and if you can make that connection with folks, sometimes they think it's magical, but it's really not. It's just a genuineness and a sincerity to address what's real.
Yeah.
And I think some of the wizardry comes from, I can tell you, one of the very unique experiences I've had twice in my sales career. And I don't know why sales guys always want to take me into the snake pit, but they do, and that's okay. And by that I mean conflicting or controversial customers.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, okay, let's go in. Well, twice I've walked out of that scenario with the customer asking us if we charge them enough.
Wow.
True story. Yeah. Well, again, if a guy says your price is too high, he really wants to do business with you. He's not objecting. He's just saying, I don't have the value, feel, or touch points of value that create me to want to pay more to you than I do to your competitor.
Absolutely.
So and most people get defensive, and they don't recognize the difference between emotion and logic. And we get all, we all get defensive. Well, that ruins the transition of opportunity right away because you can't be defensive in front of the customer. And I think it's just the ability I've developed over experience that, I don't know, the young bucks think it's magic. So the Wizard is probably the most common name that I get called, and I do hope it's a term of endearment.
I would think so. If they take it as wizardry, at least you got through them somehow.
I know. It's a little crazy, but I like it. It's good. It's good.
Okay, last one.
Okay.
Your friend Mike Francis.
Yes.
He grabbed me last night, and he told me I should ask this question, so I'm going to ask it.
Oh, no. That's not fair.
I think it is.
Okay.
Because I think it's fair now when I'm asking certain questions from left field to evaluate it for myself, and I know I've been through the ringer with this one, too.
So I can thank him for this?
You can thank me. You got something to go slap him with.
Okay.
With all the rooting around that you've been around conveyor systems and that sort of thing, how many pairs of pants do you think you've trashed through? Sometimes
per week?
I didn't carve into that with Mike. What's the
week?
volume of time here? Because my goodness,
Yeah, no, you know what? It's back in the day, we used to make sales calls with ties.
Oh, yeah.
We all wore ties. Now, we're in an industrial environment with conveyors and moving things, and you got to know where the E-stop is at all times. But I can tell you that it was very common to ruin a pair of pants.
Yeah.
If you've never been into a rendering plant, you got to throw them away just because of the smell, let alone crawling under the conveyors.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's good for Mike. I could see that. That's what I said. Mike, the parallel in our personalities is that we are the boots on the streets guys.
Yeah.
That would be almost as unfair as asking me how many conveyors I've crawled under.
Absolutely.
Because I don't even, it's like, I can't help it. Whenever I go into a plant, you got to crawl under it and see what's going on.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I would say is dozens. Is that a number?
It's a fair number. We can evaluate what time frame that means. But
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Mark, thank you. Appreciate
You're
you
welcome.
taking some time out of your busy schedule, especially
Yeah.
at the convention. But
Yeah, no, thanks for the reflection time. It's sometimes it's fun to look back over and go, wow, okay. Yeah.
well, experiences make you wiser, and here you are sharing it. So
Yeah, there you go.
thank you.
Good. You're welcome. Thank you.
Well, with that, I know we've killed almost nearly a perfectly good hour. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and thank you for your support. I'd like to thank George and New Wave Studios for not only helping to produce that, but to come out to the convention and do as much. He's got some photography he'll be sharing, and we've got more of this to do. So thank you.
Thank you.